لا مال but ilm. Not wealth, not beauty, not fame, but knowledge. وقل ربي زدني علما. قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب. They are not the same, those who have knowledge and those who don't. They're in different levels to different needs. Yes, maybe your pocket is fatter, but the intellect is thinner. It is said that a man was approached and they told him, would you prefer to be rich with stupidity or wise with poverty? He said, I'd rather be poor than wise. They said, why? He said, because my stupidity will end up disposing my wealth. And then I'll be left with only my stupidity. العلم يبني بيوتا لا أساس لها والجهل يهدم بيت العز والشرف. Knowledge builds homes that are not looked at as families of honor. And ignorance destroys families of history and honor. We come from a society and a background where we don't appreciate the knowledge as much as we want our children to be hard workers. We push them to work with us during the day. I remember growing up, my grandmother used to say, as I read the book, my textbooks and study, يا ابني كثرة العلم يؤدي الجنان. Son, too much knowledge brings insanity. They're so the opposite of both. How can knowledge bring insanity when knowledge is sanity itself? When the first thing to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, who's this handsome gentleman? You look good, man. Yeah, I know, and since then I've had a crush on him. I'm straight, by the way. I'm straight, man. I forgot, this is California. Please.
Carry on, my brother, carry on.
You sure you're from Texas?
Don't mess with Texas. When all of what we have of deen is based on what you have of level of knowledge. You want to talk about faith? إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء. Indeed, only those of knowledge will have the true fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the first moment that there was an interaction between this faith that we have today and the revelation that came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started with reading. The price that the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam put for freedom of his enemies is that they are to teach those who are within the fold of Islam how to read and write. After the battle of Badr, and they were prisoners of war, he said, if you want your freedom, it's not your money we're looking for, and it's not your land that we're trying to occupy, but teach 10 of the Sahaba how to read and write, and you're free to go. That was a price. He might not have been literate, but he pushed everyone of this ummah to understand the value of knowledge in reading and writing. فَقَدْ طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. Seeking knowledge is mandate on every Muslim. You have no excuse. It's not an option. It's not a choice. It's not whether I have the time or the capacity to go to school. It's a must. Those who have the means and did not, this is a fatwa, by the way. You have to seek the basics of understanding what is right and understanding what is wrong. Why? Without that knowledge, without that skill of identifying and analyzing and critical thinking and researching what is right and wrong, then you might live your life for years assuming yourself to be amongst those of the best when you're amongst those of the lost. قُلْ هَلْ أُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِالْأَخْسَرِينَ أَعْمَالًا الَّذِينَ ضَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. And let me tell you about those who are the most lost within their efforts. Those who went astray with all the hard work that they have done at the time that they thought they were on the right path. There's many brothers and sisters in this world that are sincere, passionate. They work effortless. At the end of the day, there's nothing that they have gained. There's missionaries in the jungles of Africa. They live years and years in tents, just like those who lived in that region. They dedicated their time and left the luxury of Alabama. They left the comfort of Mississippi and the beauty of California. But on the day of judgment, وَقَدِمْنَا إِلَى مَا عَمِلُوا مِنْ عَمَلٍ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ هَبَاءً مَنثُورًا. We approach what they have done of all actions in life, and we made it into haba. Haba, you see those particles when you see the sun rays coming in through the window? And there's those small particles that just floating in the air. It has no weight. And on the day of judgment, that's what they have. Particles that are floating in the air. So knowledge makes you a better person. Truly makes you a gentleman. And as you are here, this is getting shorter and shorter. I think your Shiek is used to giving his lecture sitting on the ground. Oh, you don't use this one? Taking care of. Improvise. You know, if you have served in the military, they say you got to improvise. You know? Find us. So I tell all of my young children and brothers here, don't let this dunya consume you. You will get your share. Wallahi al-azim, you will get your share. If you're meant to be rich, you will. And if you're meant to be poor, you're not going to change that fact. In fact, statistics say the most idiots are the most rich anyway. So, wealth and knowledge don't necessarily come together in intellect. You will get your share. Now, I started and I said we are privileged to be here because we have that opportunity to seek to be better communities in knowledge. Two, we're privileged because we have what many in this nation don't have: clarity. We have clarity. Our faith is clear.